In this module, we focus on what goes wrong in digital onboarding. You'll learn to spot wallet, protocol, KYC, AML, and fraud issues, route them into structured manual review, preserve evidence and audit trails, and still deliver clear compliant outcomes to users. Up to now, you've built a clean mental model: what eIDAS 2.0 is, who the actors are, how the EUDI wallet ecosystem works, and how onboarding should run in an ideal compliant flow. Now we'll stress test that model. We extend the architecture to handle messy reality: incomplete data, failed trust checks, KYC and AML exceptions, fraud indicators, user cancellations, and manual reviews, while still staying compliant and giving users clear, safe outcomes. Most onboarding journeys don't glide straight through to success. Cards decline, IDs don't parse, sanctions hits appear, fraud scores look suspicious, or the customer simply cancels. If your architecture treats these as edge cases, they quietly erode conversion, frustrate users, and create regulatory risk. Instead, design explicit exception flows with deterministic outcomes: when to retry, when to auto-reject, and when to route for review, aligned with your risk appetite and compliance obligations. Exception handling only works if we name things consistently. First, tag every failure by source. Is this a user mistake, a wallet issue, a verifier problem, a protocol error, a credential issue, or a risk signal like KYC, AML, or fraud? Next, decide the action. Can we safely retry? Do we need more information? Should we send it to manual review, issue a soft decline, a hard rejection, or approve with conditions? Technical glitches shouldn't be treated like risk. Map each exception type to a clear owner, evidence set, SLA, and audit requirement so outcomes are predictable and defensible. Compatibility checks are your first safety net before any credential is presented. Here you confirm that the wallet type, trust framework, credential format, and crypto capabilities all match what your relying party expects. If something doesn't line up, fail fast but gracefully. Offer options like using a different wallet, deferring onboarding, or switching to a traditional KYC flow. And log enough technical detail to debug while avoiding unnecessary personal data. Not every failure is a bug. Sometimes the user cancels, refuses consent, or simply walks away. Treat each of those as an intentional outcome, not as an error to hide. Set clear timeout limits for wallet launch, credential presentation, and back-end checks. When any path ends, expire nonces and sessions, but allow a clean retry. Then explain in plain language what happened and what the user's safest next step is. Before you trust any attribute, the whole presentation must pass a strict validation pipeline. Check format and schema, confirm the issuer, verify the signature and holder binding, and ensure timestamps, status, and expiry all line up with your trust chain. Anything clearly wrong is rejected or quarantined. Edge cases like metadata or schema mismatches go to a controlled technical review, while users see only minimal, non-sensitive error information. Once identity data passes basic technical checks, the real work begins. Applying KYC, AML, sanctions, and risk policies. Exceptions here don't always mean fail. They often signal uncertainty. Maybe there's a screening match, missing attributes, a high-risk location, fraud indicators, or an incomplete score. Your policy must define clear paths: when to auto-approve, ask for more data, escalate to manual review, or reject. And every outcome must be traceable back to rules and evidence. The key idea for screening is separation of clear prohibitions from maybes and then factoring in geography. If there's a confirmed sanctions hit, the workflow must block onboarding automatically. If a name only partially matches a PEP list, but the customer lives or does business in a high-risk country, the system should pause, create a case, attach evidence, and route it to an analyst, not quietly approve or reject. Fraud systems combine multiple weak signals into a strong decision. Device anomalies, impossible travel, duplicate IDs, or high velocity might each be explainable alone, but together they escalate risk. Sometimes the problem isn't bad behavior, it's missing or expired attributes, so the model can't be confident. In that situation, the safest move is to pause, collect more data, or route to review. Well-designed models always output reason codes to justify every action. When an onboarding case hits an exception, the goal isn't to stop it. The goal is to route it intelligently. A decision orchestration layer evaluates policy rules, risk thresholds, retry limits, and compliance constraints, then picks the next step. That might be a limited retry, a request for more data, a manual review, outright rejection, or conditional approval. Every decision, rule version, and score is captured, so all systems share the same case state and a complete audit trail. Manual review starts with a well-structured case, not a pile of screenshots. Provide enough context for a defensible decision: who the customer is, what stage they're in, why this is an exception, and which policies apply. Then assemble evidence from ID verification, screenings, fraud signals, and user documents. Only include what's needed for this decision, no more. Finally, lock it down with timestamps, hashes, and audit logs to preserve integrity. Manual review should run like a formal production process, not ad hoc heroics. Cases enter queues tuned by risk, SLA, region, product, and expertise, so the right analyst sees the right work. Each case then moves through a consistent lifecycle: evidence review, a structured decision, and, when needed, escalation or quality check. Every outcome is logged with reason codes, notes, evidence links, timestamps, and policy references under strict access control, creating a defensible end-to-end audit trail. When an onboarding doesn't move straight through, the experience is defined by how you communicate. For every status change, pending review, more information needed, approved, rejected, or retry required, send a clear, timely update through a secure channel the user actually checks. Explain what they must do next and any high-level reason, but never reveal specific fraud rules or watchlist results. And make sure every message is logged as part of your audit trail. You've seen that production onboarding is mostly about non-happy paths. Handle protocol errors, user drop-offs, bad or risky credentials, and trust failures by design. Route KYC and AML exceptions, support disciplined manual review, and capture audit evidence. In the next module, we'll shift from flows to the underlying mechanics: credentials, presentations, and trust checks.